A large part of having a high quality of life is being able to have the money to enjoy life. But in order to have the money, you need to also have the financial education to accumulate the money and make it last your entire life. And in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 easy ways you can improve your financial intelligence for free or very cheap. My first way that you can improve your financial intelligence is reading or listening to books. And this is actually my favorite way because anyone can do this. It's something that, because of the advent of the internet, is something that's highly underutilized, I feel like, nowadays, especially in younger generations. The first thing people will do is pick up their phone when they have an answer to a question, and that might work for a lot of things, but when it comes to increasing your financial education, nothing replaces a good old-fashioned book with all of the knowledge you're looking for right in that one book. Also, you don't actually need any money to do this. People also forget that there are libraries, and you can actually go down to your local library and check out a book completely for free. And if your library is like mine, they actually have an online program where you can listen to audiobooks for free as well. The only downside to the audiobooks is that they don't have the latest selection of all of the books that you would really want to listen to. I have a list of books that I want to try to get through this year, and only a couple of them I've been able to find on the audiobook list from the library. So what I've done recently is I signed up for audible.com, which I put a link for in the description below that you can check out as well. Because if you want to listen to all of the latest books, I think this is like the cheapest and actually the best way to do it. Because I personally prefer audiobooks. I listen to them when I'm on my late night walks, when I'm going to the gym, so I can actually get something else done while I'm listening to the books. Because if I have to carve out a section of my day to actually just sit here and read a hardcover book, it's probably never going to happen, and this way I can get through a lot more books in a much quicker time frame. Some of my favorite books that I've listened to so far that have improved my financial education have been Rich Dad, Poor Dad, You Are a Badass, and The Millionaire Next Door. And I put links to all of those books down in the description below as well, in case you're interested in just checking out one of them. But all of these books bring a different perspective of money to the table and make you look at things in a way that you might not have ever really realized prior to reading the book. So I highly recommend all 3 of those books, because those 3 books alone have made monumental shifts in my own mind and made me think about financial intelligence in a way that I never did before. Next up is YouTube. How could I go through this list without mentioning YouTube? While it's not my number 1 pick, it is one of my favorites because of how available it is to everybody. Literally anyone can just go on YouTube and watch. It's completely free, and I have learned to do so many different things on YouTube, all for free. I've learned to build my own websites. I've learned to make these videos. I've learned how to improve my financial education. I've learned how to cook different things. I've learned how to do different things to my car. The list is basically endless of what you can learn on YouTube. So YouTube is definitely my number 2 pick when it comes to improving your financial education. Some of my favorite financial education channels on YouTube that I personally subscribe to and watch regularly are Graham Stephan. I watch him because he is a young guy, younger than me, who's already a millionaire, although he did make most of his money from real estate before he actually became a famous YouTuber. I respect him because of how young he is and the drive that he has. I do have one disagreement with him, and that is his position on buying gold and silver, which I'm going to cover in a future video, so if you want to check that out, make sure you're subscribed and you don't miss it. I also subscribe to the Rich Dad channel, which is run by Robert Kiyosaki, and he is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which I mentioned in number 1. So this is such a valuable channel because they literally give away almost all of the information that you could find in all of the books that Robert has written over the years completely for free. The downside to learning like this is that it's up to you to go through all of the videos and find the different topics and figure out what order is important to learn different things in, because when you read the book, everything is laid out in chapters and it's kind of put together for you in a way that makes sense and a way that flows. But when you're going through random videos on YouTube, especially the way that YouTube works, it'll kind of just like recommend another video to you, and then you won't really know what to look for or what to do next when it comes to learning about financial education. Robert Kiyosaki's teachings have been absolutely crucial in changing the way that I think about money, and if it wasn't for him, honestly, I don't even think I would be where I'm at today. because of his books and his teachings, I've been able to buy real estate, buy gold and silver, and actually become much wealthier in just the course of a couple of years. And if I didn't know any of this information, I never would have been able to do these things without it. Another channel that I recommend if you're trying to improve your financial education is Gold and Silver with Mike Maloney. And the reason I recommend this channel is because Mike has a great series on that channel called The Hidden Secrets of Money, which I've also linked to below that you can check out. It's completely free. It's a playlist on his channel. And in that playlist, he basically outlines the difference between money and currency. And if you don't already know the difference between money and currency, then I would say the first step is you need to learn about that first before really going any further, because knowing that alone will vastly improve your chances of getting ahead in life and learning about money and being able to make smart, wise investments. Because a lot of people think that the cash that we have in our hand is money, and it actually isn't. So if you think those $100 bills underneath your mattress is money, think again. Check out Mike Maloney's channel. Just to keep in mind, one of the biggest downsides of using YouTube is you have to watch out, because there are a lot of unscrupulous creators out there that are just looking to sell you anything and everything, especially like their courses or whatever they offer that they're selling on their website. Most of the time, they're just trying to like push you into something. I'm not saying this is for everybody, but a good chunk of people out there that are teaching financial education are doing this. And the reason why I mention those channels in particular is because while they do have things to sell, they're not like pushing it and pushing it and pushing it in every single video. And that's something you just want to watch out for. So if you want to improve your financial intelligence by watching YouTube, that's fine. It's great. Just be wary of who you're listening to and make sure they have credibility in that space, and also that they have like the credentials to back it up, That's important. Next up is podcasts. And I love podcasts for the same reason that I love audiobooks, because you can actually listen to it on the go, which I often do. But one key difference between podcasts and watching YouTube videos is that podcasts is usually a lot longer form content. They tend to be like 45 minutes to an hour long, and you can learn a lot more from listening to one podcast than you can from watching a 5-minute YouTube video. And the reason for this is very simple. The creators of podcasts know that you're listening to this like while you're at the gym, like me, or while you're on your commute to work. And they know that they have more time and that you're going to be more willing to sit down and listen to the whole thing versus like the extremely short attention span that's on YouTube, and everybody's trying to stuff all the information into a 5-minute video. So podcasts are definitely valuable in that way. And one thing that's nice about podcasts is that the creators of podcasts usually come out with a new one every single week. So if you stay on top of it and subscribe to the podcast that you're interested in, you can regularly listen to new versions of the podcast. And as you might have been able to tell, I'm a huge Robert Kiyosaki fan. I think that the information that he teaches people is invaluable, and everybody needs to know this information. So it should come as no surprise that my favorite podcast that I listen to is the Rich Dad Radio Show. The Rich Dad Radio Show is run by Robert and his wife Kim, and they always interview different guests from around the world that have a lot of experience and a lot of credibility in the money space, the real estate space, property management, pretty much anything you can think of when it comes to improving your financial IQ. So if you want to learn about money and for free, the Rich Dad Radio Show is a great way to do it on the go. This is the only podcast I'm going to recommend because it is the only one that I trust and listen to when it comes to building my financial education. Now, this next tip that I have might not be for everyone, but it's definitely one that I found invaluable, and that is mingling with rich people. And I realize that that might not be possible for everyone based on where you live, but since I live here in beautiful Miami Beach and I live next to a 5-star resort called the Carillon, I've been lucky enough to befriend a couple of millionaires down here, and listening to their financial advice and the experiences that they've been through has been an invaluable piece of information that you can't get from anywhere else. Nothing is better than getting it firsthand from someone who has already done it. And the best thing about knowing these type of people is they're actually a lot cooler and more down to earth than you actually might think. And some of them are even willing to mentor you if you have enough in common or you have like the same kind of background. So be on the lookout for somebody that you might be able to learn from. The key thing with getting to mingle with rich people is you don't want to ask them for favors, or you don't want to ask them for money or make it look like you're desperate. The last thing you want to do is look like just like everybody else, like a mooch, somebody that's just trying to take advantage of them for their money. Because if you do that, you're not only going to push them away, but you're basically going to be blacklisted for the whole rich people crowd. So just don't do that. My next tip to you for improving your financial intelligence is to actually make a small investment. And I got this tip from Robert Kiyosaki as well, but I realized after doing this myself of how valuable this actually is. And what I mean by making a small investment is, here is an example for you. If you want to learn to grow a YouTube channel just like I'm doing right now, you can go on YouTube and find a bunch of free information about how to grow a YouTube channel and watch hundreds of videos on how to do it and probably learn quite a bit. But the problem starts here. And the problem is that without any kind of investment into that knowledge or education, then a lot of people don't take it seriously and they just push everything off till tomorrow, and the problem is tomorrow never comes. Versus if you were to actually buy a course for $500 about growing a YouTube channel and you didn't follow through with learning that course and implementing the information that you learned, you're going to feel pretty guilty. You know, you invested that $500 in yourself and you're only letting yourself down. You actually have something to lose now. So by making that financial investment in yourself, then you actually are putting yourself up against a wall where you're like, okay, if I don't do this, I'm only letting myself down and I'm out $500, so I better kick my ass into gear. And this principle can be applied to a lot of other investments as well. So one thing that I've been thinking about doing is I've been thinking about investing a little bit of money in the stock market, which I've never actually done. I actually have been contacted recently by the company called Webull, and they are interested in having me do a video about using their app. So I was thinking about doing a video for the first time of what it's like investing in the stock market as a beginner. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it in the future. But as of right now and all of the rest of my life, I've never had an interest in the stock market because I don't have any money invested in it. But if I put $100 down and then put a little bit of money into the stock market, automatically it's going to force my brain to become more interested in that topic and kind of follow along with more about what's going on in the stock market and learn more about how making money in the stock market works. Now, the one key thing that ties together all of these tips that I just gave you is they're all useless unless you follow all of them with consistency. And so what I do is I make sure to do at least one of these every single day of my life now, because if you just do one every single day, you're going to be improving your education just a little bit every day, and over a long term, this really adds up. If you just do this every day for 1 year, 1 year from now, you're going to be so much smarter about money than you ever were before. And you're going to actually be able to start answering your own questions about financial intelligence, because you'll be amazed at how much you have learned just from doing a little bit every single day. And if you have a question about financial education that you still aren't able to answer on your own after just a year of learning, then at least you'll probably have the knowledge to know exactly where to look online or which book to read to find the knowledge that you're looking for. And if you love my videos, the best thing you can do to help my channel is to keep hanging out with me and watch some more of my videos right over here, and I will see you guys over there.